Welcome to Journey to Wholeness, hosted by author and life coach Indiana Tuggle, where we help Christian women heal, achieve mental wellness, and spiritual growth so you can accomplish your goals and purpose.
Hey y'all, hey. Can we talk about emotional intelligence for a moment? The thing about emotional intelligence is that it is a byproduct of healing and learning to walk in wholeness. It does not mean that your feelings or your emotions are true, but emotional intelligence is effectively communicating your own feelings as well as listening to understand the emotions and feelings of others. Number one, without offense, without getting offended, and also without defense. That means having to defend yourself or to prove that the other person has you wrong or their feelings are wrong. In that moment, it is simply providing the space for that person to give voice to their feelings, to their concerns, to their expectations, without igniting other emotions, without becoming angry, without inciting anger in them, without allowing the subject to go to a whole nother place, right? Because the thing about healing is that you learn that your voice matters. You learn that your feelings matter, right? You learn that the whole reason or part of your hurt and part of your pain is due to the inability to express your expectations. And your own hurt and your own pain is sometimes due to your disappointment in uncommunicated expectations, right? We end up being hurt because we never let the person know that we expected certain things of them or certain things from them. So when we see that, or we see how you respond to others, when someone expresses their emotions or shares their testimony about what they've been going through and you dismiss them, you tell them that they're overly sharing or they need therapy, they don't need to be doing this all on social media, or the mere mention of we need to talk ignites some type of anger, resentment, or the eye roll in you. You let us know that you don't want to hear us. You let us know that our voice is not important to you, right? You let us know that what we're going through doesn't matter to you. And we see it, right? We see it and we're going to avoid it. So when you're whole and you're walking in wholeness and you learn how to communicate yourself, you learn how to allow your feelings to come out, then you can recognize that in others. You can recognize when someone else doesn't have emotional intelligence. You can recognize when someone else is not going to be a safe place for you to release, right? So you cannot expect someone to love you, to be there for you, when you cannot be there for them emotionally, right? As women, it is our natural ability to nurture. So when we see that something is wrong and we ask you what's wrong, and you respond to that with silence, or you respond to that with evading the question, pushing us to the side, and even getting angry because we ask or because we continue to push, you let us know that you don't have the emotional intelligence to handle us. Think of it as a team. When you're on a football team, there is an offense and a defense, right? In practice, we practice with each other, not against each other. Because if we were against each other, we would be trying to hurt each other, right? But we practice with each other so that when we go out into the world, we can win together. We can be great together. The goal is to build, right? But you cannot build if you continue to silence your partner, if you continue to ignore your partner, right? We have to learn to come together, right? We have to learn that building requires a foundation, right? You cannot expect to lead a person that you refuse to understand. It's not hard to understand each other. All is required is for you to be willing to listen, to understand. And then once you obtain an understanding, then we can seek compromise. Then we can seek solutions together. You cannot silence me in my feelings, in my communications, and then expect me to hear your truth. It's not going to happen. I'm not going to be open to the truth anymore because you don't want to understand how I got there. Again, emotional intelligence does not mean that my feelings are true. The Bible tells us that the heart is deceptive and wicked. So we understand that it may not be true. We understand that our emotions may be filtered through trauma. Our emotions may be filtered through some hurt that somebody else put on us. However, we still want to be heard, right? And you have to provide that safe space for someone to release. And if it's not you as my partner, then why are we together? Why are we talking outwardly, saying that we want to build together, that we want a partnership, that we want love and respect and honor, yet we refuse to show love and respect and honor to someone else? How can we say that we're on the same team where we're constantly fighting each other? We can't. We got to grow. And part of growth is learning that change is going to be required. You can do all the growing and the healing you need to by yourself. But yet and still, when you come together with someone else, change is still going to be required. Because now you're going to have to learn to share your soil. Now you're going to have to learn to share your water. Now you're going to have to learn to share your food. So it's still going to require change and compromise. So don't think that because you've grown and you've healed on your own, that when you come together with somebody else, the change and the growth stops. No, you've entered into a new level. And now it is time to allow someone in your space to grow with you. It's time for us to come together, men and women of God. It's time for us to stop all the bickering and the fighting, and a real man does this, a real woman does this. No, it is time for us to really, truly learn to love each other. Otherwise, we're all going to continue to be alone, complaining, like the children of Israel going around the same mountain for 40 plus years. We'll be dying on Judgment Day before the Father, wondering why. But you said I was going to get married. But you said that man should not be alone. Why you didn't send me a helper when I was on earth? And God is going to say, I had someone for you, but you were not willing to do the work. You were not willing to compromise. You were not willing to hear them. You were not willing to show them my love. We got to do better. That's it.
And that's it. That's the foundation of emotional intelligence. It is learning how to express your own emotion. So in order to achieve emotional intelligence, that's the first step. The first step is learning to voice your own emotions. So how do you achieve that? You start by practicing. Human effort or human first thought is to listen, to respond. So in an effort to achieve emotional intelligence, we have to practice listening to understand. So how do you do that? For me, it started with number one, journaling, because journaling helped me to express my emotions and find an avenue to express them without interference. The pen doesn't lie and the journal doesn't dispute. The journal doesn't offend. The journal doesn't disqualify or discount my emotions. In essence, I would like to say it doesn't talk back, but that's not true because it does. So once you start practicing delivering your emotions and voicing those emotions first in a journal, in writing, because most of us express ourselves better in writing. Once you learn to do that, then you learn to put power behind that voice and those emotions by talking out loud. Once you do that, then the second step is actually seeking truth. Because as I mentioned earlier, the Bible tells us that the heart is deceitful and wicked. So you have to learn how to talk back to those emotions by seeking truth. And the truth is going to be in the word. The truth is going to be in therapy. The truth is going to be even in your friendships. You know, my grandmother used to tell me, and my mother did as well, that everybody is not lying. So you have to be able and open yourself up to the opinions, the truth, the thought processes of others. So when you're having those conversations with people, you know, listen to what they have to say. And how you stop yourself from trying to respond or trying to defend yourself is sometimes you have to make a conscious effort to do so. For me, I used to have to, when I'm talking to people, have a pen and paper near me so that I can write down what I wanted to say while they were talking, you know, so that I wouldn't interrupt them, you know, and so that my thought processes wouldn't be lost. You know, and there's nothing wrong with that, especially if you're in a meeting with someone or on the phone with them or even in person. In person, you might have to say, you know, I'm listening to what you have to say. And so that I don't interrupt you, I'm just going to jot down my thoughts on this pad so that when the time comes for me to speak, I will remember what I wanted to say. But the goal is for me to listen to you in this moment. And sometimes that will help to guide the conversation because now the person knows that you are attentively listening. right? And also the person knows that you're making an effort to hear them. And you're also making an effort to help guide the conversation instead of taking over the conversation, right? So that's the second thing you can do to practice. Another thing that you can do to practice is to, as you're writing in your journal, as you're writing out your emotions, go back and read what you wrote a couple of days after. And what I would do is take a highlighter and highlight those strong emotions that came through my writing. If I said I was angry, if I said I was disappointed, if I said that I felt depressed, or if I said that something happened, whatever those strong emotions are for you in your writing. And then I would take those emotions and look up scriptures for them. Google is your friend. Just Google, what does the Bible say about depression? What does the Bible say about anger? What does the Bible say even about happiness? Because a lot of my early writings were about me just trying to find my own happiness, right? Me trying to express what happiness even looked like for me. So researching and looking up those scriptures would help me to find a foundation to begin my journey to wholeness, right? Because once I realized that my happiness was in my own hands, that I didn't have to rely on someone else to give it to me, then I was able to create strategy to go after my own happiness, right? To define what my own happiness looked like. So in your quest to achieve emotional intelligence, you have to put your big girl panties on and face you, right? You have to face those deep emotions that you are holding on to that you've never had a chance to express. You have to be able to admit that. So part of emotional intelligence is also admitting that you even have the emotions. So many times, especially as Black women, we like to hide. We don't want people to know that we're hurting, right? We want to have this appearance of being strong, of being able to endure heartache and pain. But in the inside, we're dying. We're corroding from the inside out, and we think we're hiding, but it's showing up. It's showing up in the world in our bitterness. It's showing up in the world every time we get angry when somebody says something to us, when someone confronts us with our own issues. We can't take constructive criticism because we consider everybody a hater. Right? We consider everybody as non-supportive. We consider everybody as not wanting to see us win. When the truth of the matter is, if someone has the influence and the wisdom to tell us our faults, that is a true friend, because they are committed to helping you grow. Right? You shouldn't always want a cheering section. Not saying that you don't need people in your circle to encourage you, because we do. And you definitely need one of those. But you also need people who will be able to tell you when you stink, right? When you're not acting right, when you're not behaving right, when you are misinterpreting a situation, right? Because like I said before, a lot of our emotions is filtered through some of the trauma and experiences we've been through in the past. But in order for us to have strategy to move forward, to break free from those shackles, we have to be willing to be introduced to another perspective. And perspective is a catalyst to healing. Right? Perspective says, I'm not always right. Perspective says that others have a reason for what they do. We all have a reason for the things that we do. We all have a reason for the behavior that we project into the world. We all have a reason, right? So the same way that you want others to understand your reasoning, you have to seek to understand someone else's, right? So that's part of the emotional intelligence journey. It is a journey. It's not going to happen overnight, right? But as long as you go into any relationship, any conversation, any interaction with someone else with the mindset to understand, you're already halfway through the battle. Right? Because when you seek to understand, you ask questions rather than being quick to give your opinion. Right? You ask questions to seek clarity. Right? On the job, my boss has me doing this thing where when someone comes to me with something, or when I'm having meetings with my employees, to ask why 5 times. Now, by the third why, I'm like, look here, I ain't asking why no more. But it helps me to get a deeper understanding of the other person. You know, as a leader, as someone who is called to help others, you always come into a situation with a solution. But how many of you know that when you give someone a solution, you also give them a reason not to follow it because they didn't come up with it. So the goal in helping anyone, in leading anyone, in trying to help someone grow and to change is that you have to make them part of the solution. They have to be part of the thought process. They have to be part of the development of ideas. They have to be able to bring their ideas to the table, right? They have to be part of the brainstorming process. Otherwise, whatever solution you come up with, that there is no buy-in. In the corporate America, we call it buy-in, right? So if you take that away from somebody else, then you'll just be talking to air. I believe that's where the saying comes. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. No, you can't. Because the horse had no say-so about the water, right? They weren't able to tell you what flavor they like. They weren't able to tell you why drinking water was difficult for them, right? So even when you have a solution in mind, you have to be open to someone else's perspective. You have to be open and willing to hear someone else's input. If you can't take someone else's input, then you don't need to be in a relationship. You don't need to be leading nobody. Because the thing about a good partnership is that you recognize that you're better together. Right? And that's the goal. That is the goal in any type of relationship that we want. We all want to be in a partnership where we both bring our authentic selves to the table. And y'all know I hate that word, the table. But you have to be able to bring your true self to the table, right? And in order to do that, you have to know that your opinion matters. You have to know that your wisdom will be heard. You have to know that your input will be valued. And the way that we show that to others is we include it. We include it in the solution process. You don't wait for somebody else to give you, or you don't wait for someone to spill their guts to you. And then you say, well, I think you should do X, Y, and Z. And you've totally eliminated everything they said. And they're sitting there looking at you like, that ain't going to work for me. I just told you why it's not going to work for me, and you're not even listening. So now You're ending the conversation with no solution at all, and both of y'all are frustrated. Right? So the goal of emotional intelligence is not to prove that you're inferior or that you've healed or that you have all the answers. No, the goal of emotional intelligence is to empower someone else to come up with their own solutions and their own answers. Right? Because wholeness is all of ours birthright. We have the keys to wholeness within us. But the problem is that the hurt and the pain that we've been through has silenced us, has made us feel that we're not enough, has stripped us of that power to push forward. The Apostle Paul said that he pressed forward towards the calling, the higher calling. In order to press forward, you have to have someone in your corner that's pushing you forward, that's telling you that it's okay, that's telling you that you matter, that's telling you that what you've been through can be used for your good. We need that. We need that in each other. And the whole point of this conversation on emotional intelligence is because I'm tired of seeing the arguing and the back and forth banter between men and women on social media. We're all just yelling. We're yelling at each other, but no one is listening to each other, right? Because everybody wants to be right. Everyone wants to prove that they're the better man or the better woman, when in reality, we're all struggling without each other. We're all in secret, hurting from loneliness. We're all in secret desiring love from someone else. How can you desire a love that you continue to fight? How can you desire companionship from someone that you don't even want to understand, that you don't even want to listen to? So you want to get in a relationship with somebody and then y'all both go into both ends of the house and never talk, never grow? No. So even as friends, as strangers, if we can't listen to each other, the people that's on the outside looking in, looking at you from afar, trying to disclose whether or not they want to get to know you, you're telling them to stay away. Because we're watching. The one thing you have to realize is that there are more people watching in silence than there are people who are boldly expressing their opinion. Know that. Just because people are not saying nothing doesn't mean that they're not observing and taking notes. And they're deciding whether or not they even want to be your friend. Not just a relationship with you, but they don't even want to be in your presence because of some of the things that we allow to come out of our mouth, some of the arguments that we are engaging in towards each other. And we're painting a false picture of the love we say we want. We say we want love. We say we want partnership. Yet we are degrading and fighting each other. Like I said, we have to do better. We have to seek to understand. And emotional intelligence is just the foundation. It's the foundation. And until we get there, we're going to continue to be fighting. And all that's required is that we go into relationships, French, not just romantic, business, friendships, whatever type of relationship we have with each other. We have to go in it with a mindset to understand, not just to be heard, but to listen and understand. Right? And if we can do that, then love won't be so hard. It's not that hard. It's not supposed to be that hard. We make it hard because we all want to be right. We're all seeking to be heard, when we need to flip it and seek to understand.
You have been listening to Journey to Wholeness, brought to you by Indie Writes, a spiritual growth and development company that helps you write your way to success and wholeness in every area of your life. We specialize in books and journals that promote mental wellness and Christian growth. Our journals provide inspirational articles, motivational quotes, biblical guidance, writing prompts to release your feelings, fears, and thoughts, as well as strategies for success to tackle your goals and pursue your purpose. Visit our website and join our mailing list at www.indiewrites.com to learn more.